Hello everyone, how's it going? So let's talk about Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, but also Marvel's Avengers, because a lot of things that happened with this game is mirroring Suicide Squad. So when Marvel's Avengers first was announced, they had a 10-year plan to this game. It's basically what they were doing, trying to do the Destiny thing, but with the Marvel's IP. And unfortunately, it didn't last that long. Heck, the way this game started mirrors that of Suicide Squad, with this game starting with Avengers Day and Suicide Squad starting with Justice Day. But regardless, this game had a 10-year plan, and within the first month of the game's launch, it went from 28,000 players down to around 3,000 players. Granted, it did have spikes in player count with the Black Panther update and the Spider-Man update, but the Spider-Man was a PlayStation exclusive. Regardless, this was not good for a game that was supposed to have a 10-year plan, and then within about 3 years, service for the game completely shut down. So exactly didn't last that long. But if you look at Suicide Squad, which has a peak of 13,000 players, which is half of what Marvel's Avengers peaked at, it's starting to see the same results. Now, the game within the last 24 hours has lost a lot of players. Like right now, only about 6,000 players are playing right now, so about half of its all-time peak are now playing the game. Granted, there are ups and downs, so I would say the 8,000 player count is more accurate. And these are only Steam numbers, but Steam generally is a good indicator of how popular a game is. PC is one of the most popular platforms there is, and you can generally take this number and say about half of it would be console players, which is still very much abysmal. And when you look at Batman Arkham Knight, well, the game is doing half the numbers of Suicide Squad, which is even worse because a game that came out over half a decade ago is doing better than a brand new game that's not even a week old. So this is not looking good. Granted, when you look on Steam, it does have a positive rating, but then when you look at how many people reviewed the game, only about 2,700 people reviewed this game. Again, this is a game from Rocksteady, the people who pioneered the Batman Arkham franchise, one of the greatest action-adventure games of all time, and who catapulted superhero games to a brand new level of quality. Batman Arkham walked so Marvel's Spider-Man could run. The combat system is revolutionary that's still being used and implemented in various games to this day. Batman Arkham Asylum still holds up to this day in terms of quality, presentation. Heck, you can show someone that game, and I guarantee you, if they never heard of it, they would think it's a modern day game. A lot of those games still hold up today, and Batman Arkham Knight is doing half the numbers of Suicide Squad. And when you have a brand new game that only has 2,700 reviews, it's not looking good. There are a multitude of reasons this could have happened. One, people refunded the game and they just didn't care enough to write a review. There are people out there. If you're more likely to write a bad review for something than a good review, but that also goes in reverse when people feel overwhelmingly positive about a game. There is a thing called positive review bombing. Now, there is reports going around that Valve has been deleting reviews, but I think Valve is pretty good at this stuff when it comes to curating reviews. I think what's happening is that their automatic system is picking up on this and is probably thinking that this is negative review bombing or positive review bombing, because again, there are both signs of that. You can see here from the Metacritic score where you see a bunch of people giving absolutely terrible scores to absolutely brilliant scores. Like I'm pretty sure this person only reviews certain games that they like. They gave two different reviews for Suicide Squad. This is a little weird. But regardless, you can see this from Metacritic when it happens. So I think that's what's happening here. But regardless, 2,700 from a AAA game is really bad. For an indie game, it's pretty good. But for a AAA game, especially from Rocksteady, it's really bad. Especially coming from WB Games, who saw massive success with Hogwarts Legacy and Mortal Kombat 1. Granted, Mortal Kombat 1 is more fickle because of the $15 Halloween DLC and the Switch version of the game, which they also charged $70 for, so there is big controversy there. I don't know if Hogwarts Legacy is on Switch right now. I don't really care to look at it, but it's because I already platinumed the game and I have it on PlayStation. I would never buy a game like this on Switch console, but yeah, regardless, this game sold very well. So did Mortal Kombat 1. And seeing that this game has a multi-year plan behind this, I don't care enough to spoil this game because I reviewed it. I gave it a 3 out of 10. I highly recommend you stay far away from this game. If you played the Arkham games, pretend this game never existed. Trust me, it will destroy your mettle. Do not play this game if you like the Arkham games. It will destroy you in a lot of ways. I'm sure you've seen what happens to Batman. That's kind of why it would destroy, I would say it would destroy your entire perspective on it. But they completely shit on every male hero in this game. Green Lantern, Flash, Superman, God. If you think Batman has done injustice in this game, Superman has done the biggest injustice in this game. Either way, this game is not doing well, and if I was WB and I was looking at this, especially an executive, the hatchet is about to come down, and I mean layoffs and stuff like that, especially considering they have 12 more iterations of Brainiac that they're going to add to the game. I'm not joking. They expect you to fight 12 more versions of Brainiac, and in the final boss of this game, you don't even fight Brainiac. You fight a version of the Flash. They just recycled the Flash boss fight, add ads to the fight, and that's it. Just wipe your hands and be like, oh, it's just a level of laziness that you would never expect from a Rocksteady game. Like, they are known for quality over everything. I know the Batman Arkham Knight game launched terribly on PC. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It was a terrible launch. They gave away all the DLC. They gave full refunds for anyone who asked for it. But regardless, at least they fixed the game. And at least that game, after it was all fixed, it's a quality game now. Here, it just screams of cheapness, because I guarantee you when the other versions of Brainiac come out, it's just going to be recycled content in the way of you fighting Brainiac transformed into the other Justice League members. Probably just add more intensity to the fight. But if they're planning to release 12 more iterations of Brainiac with multiple DLC packs, they're going to have to boost these numbers. And seeing that it made half the numbers of Marvel's Avengers, I don't see that happening. I see that WB is probably going to be like, okay, we're just going to put a skeleton crew on this, just deliver the last bit of content. But if they're really extreme, they'll just be like, okay, just push out whatever you have left, and that's it. We're going to cut the rest. And if you don't believe me, that's happened before. Square Enix did that with Final Fantasy 15. And if WB sees that this game is not performing up to their standards, they likely will just cut out support of this game. I mean, why wouldn't they? The latest Aquaman movie failed tremendously, not only because of Amber Heard and that situation, but because the movie sucked. And they seem to be wanting to sell off studios. Regardless, this game just doesn't seem like it's going to perform well. I mean, they didn't even give review copies for this game, so I'm pretty sure executives, even the people who don't play video games at WB, played this probably or saw this and said, oh god, what do we do here? Just push out the game and see who's stupid enough to pay $100 for the early access, like I did. But if I can save even one person money, I will. But yeah, it just seems that the game will not do well, especially considering that the Rocksteady founders left the game before the game even launched. They probably are like, oh god, okay, we finished the game, our contract is over, we're getting the hell out of here before everything happens. What about the studio you built from the ground up? Yeah, we're done. Dude, this game will crash and burn our reputation. Better get out when the get-in's good. That's how I kind of see it. Like, these guys built Rocksteady as this incredible studio, and they all left. It's like what Thor said from Pirate Software. It's not the studio that matters. It's the people within the studios. That's what happened with Blizzard Entertainment. All the A-team talent left the studio, and they went off to make their own games like Marvel Snap. And Marvel Snap is a hugely successful game. Why? Because it was headed by people, former Blizzard employees, who know how to make good games. I never played Marvel Snap, but apparently a lot of people like it because it was made by people who know how to make good video games, and now look what happened to Blizzard Entertainment. They're trying to sell you a $100 DLC for Diablo 4. So, I shouldn't laugh about this stuff because it does mean that if it doesn't perform well, people are going to lose their jobs, but when you make a crappy game, that's kind of what happens. And I can't find the video for the God, but the way that they portrayed the future Joker that's coming into this game, it's not even really Joker. At this point, they're just pissing on the legacy of the Arkham games because Joker's death mattered. I know this is a different Joker, but his death mattered. There's a reason why it was so profound when it happened in Arkham City, and then how he haunts Batman throughout Arkham Knight, and how he was about to take over. Like, I don't want to spoil it in that case because that's actually a good game, but there's a reason why he died. It meant something. There was a huge narrative around it. Just to shoehorn him into the game in this way, even as a multiverse character, just seems so shameful in so many ways. Heck, if you want to hear shameful, I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but it's just so disgusting what they did with Kevin Conroy. Not just in the way that they killed Batman, but the memorial they have for him at the end of the credits. It is so disgustingly tasteless. I highly recommend you go watch it on YouTube, and you'll see what I mean. It is so disgustingly tasteless of what they did to the guy. Like, the memorial they have for him. God, I don't know who greenlit that, but they clearly did not care. Either way, what do you think about all this? Do you think Suicide Squad will last a year? Do you think it's going to die? Or do you think they're just going to be like, you know what? Just finish whatever you started? Because at its core, I just don't see this game being a success, especially when you're dealing with heavy hitters like Final Fantasy is about to come out, the next part. Not to mention, I even think Poppy's Playtime is a lot more successful. The latest chapter, more people are talking about that positively than this game. Persona 3 Reloaded just came out. I'm loving that game. That game is freaking amazing. It's people still playing Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. Also a quality game despite the New Game Plus bullshit that they have in that game. It's still a good game. So they're dealing with a lot of heavy hitters. In fact, let's look at Infinite Wealth. This game has more reviews, 3,000, and this is a single-player game, and they're proudly putting up the scores up here. There's no score for Suicide Squad, though. Either way, tell me what you think in the comments below. I really think that this is going to pull another Marvel Avengers, but it's not going to last as long. So that's going to be it for me. Like, dislike, sub, your choice. Bye.